picture. And, you know, he's yellow, so he's like bright. It's crazy. He's stunning.
We were supposed to get the dog fixed Thursday.
Oh, what
She
happened?
went in the heat Friday night. I gotta wait 2 months.
Bless. She's probably big now. Well,
17 or 18 pounds.
for
Yeah.
her, for her. Your
Yeah.
dog? That's big.
That's about
Little
big.
piece of fried chicken.
So we got our diaper on her and stuff, and she,
That's
she
so
chewed it
nice.
off of herself today.
Other than life service,
She chewed it off.
other than life,
Just what Michelle has.
is butterscotch or
Something, yeah. I'm trying to think if I even I don't think I have anything candy wise.
Stephanie doesn't like the mints.
Oh no. I think I don't think I do. I can get her crackers. That would be a good luck.
I'll eat what's in front of me.
Might be some donut stuff on the brick green table.
Oh yeah, Mike did come today, didn't he?
Yeah.
Miss Brenda's probably put them all in individual baggies by now. I love her little heart.
Actually, no, I think the donuts were gone when I went back there at 2 o'clock. There was just one cookie left.
They don't last long. The sugared ones are my favorite.
That's what he had. Baker's dozen.
Yeah.
They're good.
Because they're always so soft and that sugar, like you gotta get them when they're first open, because then the air hits them and it starts to.
It was good. I had one.
You had one. Thanks. Thanks for sharing them.
Yeah. It's free for all.
Yeah.
Get there.
Just the FYI, that screen keeps blinking. Yeah, TV. Just be prepared. Like a glitch, like.
How are you?
All the time on the and it's down streaming. You always got something to say. I love that. He's got a question for him just like that. He keeps them on their toes.
He does.
Nice meeting you, Dad.
Nice meeting you.
Bless her.
It's cleaning.
Miss Brenda.
She let her hair down. Well,
Still, yeah.
She's She's trying to be younger these days.
putting on airs.
I think she's just a little sweet on that one up there. But she got this.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Take her.
Appreciate it. I'll refund you.
Any more? Okay. Hey, Ladybug. She don't hear me. How was Las Vegas? Good. Is it hot? You're not cute tonight. Good. How are you? I'm good. No, not normally. Hmm? She looks like a Gerber baby.
Good evening.
Good evening.
At this time, I'd like to call to order a meeting of Mayor and Council on Tuesday, March 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd all rise for the invocation by Councilman Mike Bradley.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day and every day we are allowed to greet. Thank you for the people in this room who aren't self-serving but here to make this city they know and love a better place for all. Please keep our faith strong and give us wisdom and strength each and every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
If you remain standing for pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Just as a reminder to council, we will have executive session tonight to go over negotiations and personnel. At this time, is there any changes to the agenda for tonight's meeting?
No, sir, there is not.
All right. At this time, I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. I know the minutes are in your packet, so at this time, I will accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Holland, will I make that motion?
We have a motion from Councilman Orlando Holland. Is there a second?
Councilman Quillen, I will second.
We have a second from Councilman Alan Quillen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. All right. At this time, is there anyone here this evening for public comment?
We have George Lodato here for public comment.
Come on forward, Councilman.
Good evening. George Lodato. I'm Councilman in Laurel, Delaware.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to thank Mayor and Council for giving me the opportunity to stand up here and present this item I have. The Laurel Police Department Citizens Police Academy is taking applications. It's going to be held on Wednesday nights. The first one is April 1st from 6 to 9 p.m. The topics are response and resistance, de-escalation, DUI alcohol impairment, criminal narcotics and gang investigations, mental health resources, and school resource officers. There'll be some K-9 demonstrations, a DUI simulator, firearm simulator, SWAT presentations. This is going to be open to not only the people of the town of Laurel, but also for the people of Seaford, Blades, and anyone else that's interested in seeing how the police interact with the public, to see what the police go through when they're interacting with the public. And I'm sure, Seaford Police Departments also have the same issues that the other towns in Delaware have. And I just want to let everybody know that it is open, and I do have some applications here with me if anybody is interested. And again, I'd like to thank Mayor and Council for the opportunity to present this to the town.
Excellent.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that forward. I'll make a quick comment on that. Former graduate of the program here in the city of Seaford. I know my cohort to my left, Councilwoman Dr. Grassett, was a recent graduate of the program, so could not recommend it enough for the people of Laurel, Blades, and Seaford. Do we have anybody else here for public comments?
We have Jean Briggs here for public comment.
Ms. Briggs?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dear Mayor McCoy, Mike Bailey, Charles Anderson, and city officials, I want to extend my sincerest gratitude for your prompt thoughtfulness, action in addressing the process of notifying the residents when variances are made with our community. This improvement has allowed the residents to stay better informed, participate more effectively in local decisions, and feel confident that our voices matter. Your leadership in this matter has not gone unnoticed and is deeply appreciated. Thank you again for your dedication to serving our community with integrity and responsiveness. I look forward to seeing continuous positive impact of this change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else here for public comment?
No, there's no one else here for public comment.
All right. And do we have anybody here for correspondence?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. And with that, this time, I'm going to move over to the public hearing. I have item number 1.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Manager. So public hearing tonight is for the revisions to Chapter 15 of the zoning ordinance that would add requirements for parking areas for vehicles being used by people with disabilities. So this is being triggered by a state law that was enacted last year, where the state is making it the responsibility of the municipalities and counties to require commercial properties to get permits for any time they repave their parking lots, want to restripe their parking lots. So we have the opportunity to review the ADA parking requirements, make sure they have the right amount, the right signage, and stuff like that. So, is there any questions?
This is a second reading, I do believe. Is there anyone on council has any questions or comments for Mike Bailey? Do we have any questions or comments from the public? Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to close the public hearing at 7:06 p.m. And I believe we're going to have new business number 1. The gentlemen from the Seaford Inn are here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Council and Mayor, for giving us an opportunity to acquire the property, postponing the demolitions, and trusting on us. You know, even though it was first time us meeting you, but your faith has given us a strength to acquire the property, even though it's still under the demolitions and other. We took a chance, took over the properties, trusting that we are here to be part of the community, and as a council and city official has mentioned, we are all want to be part of community and also business friendly. Make sure the town sees the opportunity instead of having to demolish the building. People don't get chance to have a brand new hotel, and the revenues. The neighbors like the restaurants, Mexican restaurants, they are talking about acquiring their property, but they're saying it's going to be good. So we want to be part of community, and thanks for giving us a chance and trusting us. And we wanted to give you the updates since we acquired on January 26, what actions we have taken, what the plan is, and some of the requirements that the council has required us to acquire the property, provide the proof, work with the franchise, and the plan, right? So we have added those agendas and presentation prepared for you to, if you have any questions, we can go over, but. Okay. All right, thank you. So we have prepared a presentation to give you the insight of what's being done. It's going to be the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, which used to be the originally before the Seaford Inn happens, and we want to bring the same brands because it has a name and reputation, instead of bringing some middle or lower middle or other economy brands, because we think this town can handle the high-end properties. Right, so this is the outside look. It's going to be once it's done. Right, the requirements or the color codings are for the franchise Holiday Inn Express standards, and that's a cool design. They have 2 prototypes, so we have chosen to cool, but we'll be open to if there is any suggestions. But before we go for painting, because that's still under approval. So if the town or mayor has any council or officers, we will be happy to share the second color schema if there is any requirements you want to give your inputs. Right. So, we'll go over the franchise, but that's the color legends, just how the whole presentation is set forth. Right, so as you can see, these are the milestone and timeline, what actions we have taken since taking over the property, starting from January 26, when the settlement was completed. February 6, we signed the deal terms with the IG, which is the parent company of Holiday Inn Express. Right, February 6, also engineering sprinkler systems design was awarded. So we have engineer working from, on the sprinkler system designs and also the inside plan per the franchise requirements. And at the same time, it need to be, as town mentioned that the sprinkler systems and area requirement has changed since the property was built. So that's also been awarded as part of this to make sure it's to the current code. right? So franchise fee was paid on February 23rd because they have a timeline. They give you the, deal terms, you have to wait for certain days. Then you can pay the fee, then you have to wait for certain days. So, they go inside. So there is a whole timeline because they went through many of the lawsuits and complaints and legal things. So they have a fixed timeline that even though you are ready to sign, you can't sign. You have to give them a 2 weeks for FSD, for example. It has to be 6 months. Within the 6 months, you receive your franchise disclosure agreements. Then you have to wait for 30 days for review. Then they give you the second sets of documents. So that's the timeline. You'll see that coming up across. Right, so roof replacement, March 3rd, we did the roof replacement because we wanted to make sure before anything inside happens, the outside is fixed, there is no further damages happens, and also people are passing by or neighbors don't see the, broken stuff all over, right, the hanging and broken stuccos and all that. So roof replacement was completed, window was secure to make sure there is nobody's going inside because we were starting the work inside and we didn't want to see the same thing happen again, right? So all the windows are secure on the first floor. There is a, camera is also installed, solar powered cameras to make sure there is nothing else, right? And we also talked to the town police to help us, increase the patrolling when they are in the neighborby. So, they also said, yeah, we'll do that to help. And also neighbor is making a patrolling as well to make sure there is nothing, no further damage, right? So March 3rd, the roof work was started, and also the stucco was secured by them to make sure there is no further water damage and nothing goes inside, right? The exterior electrical permit was obtained on 4th. Then the stucco contract was awarded on March 7th. And franchise agreements, final terms and condition in details like, 60 page, 80 page or something. That's the whole franchise agreements pretty much, was received and is with the, there is a wait time now. Right. So as you can see, the stabilization straps, roof is done. Exterior wall damage has been fixed on the front areas. They are working on the carports areas in the front because there was a roof collapse on that. So that is being also, as I speak, is being worked on it. Right. Fire system protection systems contract is actually is awarded now. So we have hired the fire company to install the new sprinkler systems, and they are going to submit the plan for approval with the fire marshals in town. So that work has been awarded. Right. Electrical permits has been done and stabilization monitoring. So neighbors are helping. 2 of the neighbors makes a visit to the site as well. We have also changed the fencing because some of the fencing wasn't in a proper condition and people were able to go inside. So that's all been redone. There is a science place. There is a solar powered camera is installed, and also the neighbors are making a visits in the night time up to like 2 o'clock, 12:30, 2 o'clock. They just as a good neighbor. So I mean, it's great. They have been very happy to see all the trash is cleaned up on the parkings and everything. So they are excited, us being working on that. Right. So this was the condition, as you can see, originally was. And in the background, you'll see the new pictures that, all this is being cleaned up, right? So the pictures on the left, the background, on the bigger pictures, this is after the fixing, the front areas. So the carport areas, all the trash has been removed. There is nothing is there now. All the parking areas, every little trash, even the leaves are being cleaned up. So just to make sure it doesn't look bad, right? Right. So these are the steps we taken. I already went through many of these things, but just to give you in writing that what actions is being taken, so you get the idea, right? So you can see the new one. It doesn't look anything like the old ones, right? All good. And once we paint, we are excited. This is gonna be amazing. We are waiting for summer to make sure. We have already cleaned up the broken trees near the roads on main roads, but once the summer comes up, we're gonna do the landscaping, make sure we plant some trees prior to even opening. So your roadsides, the broken trees are replaced with a new one. All right, so we have a storage to make sure all the deliveries and materials are coming is secure and there is nothing. All right, so these are the immediate plans. The next plans are done. Stucco restoration, so front area is done. The carport is being worked on it, and the back area, because there was a glass were broken, and the water damage has caused the damage to the stucco, so that's all being removed, and they are going to redo the whole back area as well. So, sprinkler system contract is given. They are working on a plan. It's going to be submitted to the fire marshal in town for approval. That's the next steps before anything else happens. We are working with the town, electrical company division to get the power restored. So the next steps, all the contractor wants power, right? Because they need to run. So that's actively being worked with the town electric departments, and we are hoping to have estimates in a week or two, and so we can get the electrical work done, get the connection back. Right. So parking area lighting, as soon as we get the electric connections, we already have the lightings. We're going to change all the lights that was old, and put the new lights to light up, and we're going to leave it on in the night time, even though it's not being open, but light to make sure that it's not a dark area for neighbors and anyone. Right, so that's already been ordered, as per the franchise and lumen's requirements, so it's not like too bright for the roads or neighbors. Right? But as soon as the power comes on, the next steps will be putting the permanent security systems across the building. Currently solar powered, which is not the permanent goal is, because you can have 3 days no sun, and then we'll be out otherwise. So it's a temporary, right? Next thing is renovation per Holiday Inn Express. So we have received the engineering work, the prototypes, all the things that need to be done. Right, we have submitted the preliminary plan with the town as well for the review. It's not a final plan because all the changes that we will be making inside, like how the room colors, the bathrooms, everything need to be approved by IG. So we are waiting for them to give us a go-ahead, provide their feedbacks if they see something, because they have specific requirements where the ceiling light goes, how many lumens it need to be, what's the distance is, pretty much, they give you the model number basically. That tub need to be colder and X, so that's the review process is going on. So once that plan is received, we'll submit for town for any comments or any changes, making sure that there is no change in the codes, because, Holiday Inn may not know the exact Seaford town code, so we just want to make sure it gets done at the same time, right? So that's pretty much, I'm open for any questions, any comments, any suggestions.
Councilman Quillen.
First, I'd like to say thank you. 2 months ago, we sat here and you saw the frustration from the council here, and we do appreciate you stepping up and starting this process. This is very exciting. I think it's going to be very exciting for our community, something that our community has been hollering for several years. So I'm excited to see what you've got there. I've looked at your plans there. They look very nice, and I think that's what you're presenting here to us this evening is going to be very appealing for a lot of people coming into our community. I guess you don't have really kind of a timeline on what you're doing here, but you're still asking for a lot of requests for authorizations and things like that. But do you have type of a timeline of where you might think your completion would be?
So, may I pass this paper?
Sure.
So this is the timeline I'm basing on, because there is a franchise that is going to dictate how long it takes before we can really force them. Like you have to give us a feedback. So you see on page 1, they have the timeline. Like so they have their own timeline when we sign the franchise, that they says, okay, you have 3 months for us to submit the plan, which is we are ready already. But they have 3 months to provide us feedbacks, go back and forth. And we have mandatory 6 months. That's an outside timeline. That's not something we want to take, because our goal is to do as soon as we can. But they have a mandatory timeline that we have to abide by. Otherwise, we get charged every month that we are delayed by. Right, so that's the timeline that's the outside time.
Outside 2027, mid 2027 should be completed.
Yeah. So that's the whole timeline I'm going by. That it is a must and it's outside. So don't take me that I'm gonna take May, because it's not in our interest to take it longer than is needed. But that's the, after that, every step we miss, we'll have to pay the fine to them every month.
Councilman.
I just want to make a comment. I was very impressed with your presentation.
Thank you.
Based on past history, the expectation level at the last meeting was somewhat lacking. And had the previous owner come with a plan that was tangible, very similar to yours, we would have been a lot more receptive to it. And I commend you on the work that you were doing. I drove by one Sunday and, you know, it was colder than the dickens, and those guys were up on the roof working their butts off, and I was very impressed.
No, thank you. I mean, you know.
Any additional comments or questions from council? I'll echo those sentiments by my fellow councilman here. This property has been a property of much conjecture in the community, so having a detailed plan like you do, showing not only what you've done, but what you plan to do, is very helpful for us to communicate to the public what our proper expectations and the level set on this particular property. So I appreciate it.
No, thank you. I mean, we greatly appreciate, you know, you giving us an opportunity to be a part of it. And the feedbacks we are getting from town, you know, managers, the electrical teams and rest of the members, also the neighbors, you know, that makes us excited that, you know, we taking a chance. And we understand the last time was a little different, you know, because we had the previous owners, but, you know, it was the trust that you guys put on us, and that's why we took the chance of closing the property, even though I'm supposed to be here today for the rest of the things, but, you know, it just gives us a faith that, you know, no, we'll be fine, you know, and taking that risk. So, you know, greatly appreciate it, I mean.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming this evening. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to move to new business number 2, and our Director of Finance, June Merritt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm here to present audit services, a recommendation for audit services. We sent out requests for proposals to 6 different firms, and it's for the audit for the next 5 years, fiscal years. So fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, all the way through 2030. And so we sent out 6 proposals. We received 3 responses back. And those 3 responding firms, we reviewed their proposals and looked at the different specifications in the RFP to see how they responded to those things. Each one was rated on their ability to have qualified available staff, experience with governmental audits, how well they understand the scope of the audit, the location of their firm, their price, and then the rater's confidence in the firm. So we scored those 3. The 3 that we received were from SBN Company, LLC, PKS and Company, and Link Johnson and Tull. And the average scores of those rankings, it was in the same order that I just gave. It was 80, 85, and 70. And SBN Company was the lowest 5-year audit fee, and it was in the amount of $124,400. But they are also our incumbent audit firm. We've worked with them for the last 10 years, and we have a good working relationship with them. And based on their score and based on their proposal and their fees, I'm recommending that we award the bid to them.
Okay. Are there any questions from council for June Merritt? If there are no questions or comments, I'll set the motion.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Holland, I make the motion to approve the recommendation of June Merritt, Director of Finance, to award the audit service, RFP, to S&B Company with a first-year agreement cost of $22,850 as presented.
We have a motion from Councilman Orlando Holland. Is there a second?
Councilman Bradley, I'll second the motion.
We have a second from Councilman Bradley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Passes unanimously. Thank you, June. Now on to new business number 3.
All right, council has in their package a letter from the city engineer, Chris Derbyshire. The city did take bids recently for closed-circuit TV inspection of portions of our sewer system. We did receive several bids on that, and they did range, but the low bidder, Metra Industries, is being recommended in the amount of $68,281. The city did budget funds for this project in the amount of $75,500. So we do have funding in the current budget to do this. As council aware, the reason we're undertaking CCTV, closed-circuit TV inspection of the sewer system, we do have some inflow and infiltration problems. So this map is a city map of the sewer system. You'll see the areas there highlighted, and it's citywide, so it's in various areas. They've narrowed it down based on some flow monitoring they did last budget year, actually the last 2 budget years. So now they want to go through and closed-circuit TV these sewer sheds so they can try to determine if there are problems there, inflow of groundwater or infiltration of groundwater, I should say, and then inflow of stormwater in these various areas to try to reduce that flow into the treatment plant and that cost associated with treating stormwater. So the director and the city engineer are making the recommendation to award this project to Metra Industries in the amount of $65,122.21.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the council? If there are none at the time, I will set the motion.
Councilman Quillen, I'll make the motion to award the bid for CCTV sewer inspection to the lower bidder of Metra Industries in the amount of $65,122.21 as presented.
We have a motion from Councilman Alan Quillen. Is there a second?
Councilwoman Grassett, I second the motion.
We have a second from Councilwoman Grassett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Now on to new business number 4. I believe our Director of Electric, Greg Brook.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I'm here to present a recommendation from the Electric Committee for regarding the future improvements to the Ross substation. A little overview of the Ross substation. It is located behind our Seaford utility building, out on 8,000 Herring Run Road. It was built in 1990, so it's roughly 36 years old. And it serves primarily Sussex Highway north of Tharp Road. You got Muirfield, the Tidal Health Mears campus, Seaford Industrial Park, and our utility building. Excuse me. It is fed from a 69 kV transmission radial feed out of the Slatcher substation. Contains one 69 kV SF breaker, 69 to 12 kV transformer that feeds 3 circuits. That's 310, 320, and 330, and those service the areas that were mentioned in that previous slide. So it's made up of one ABB RMAG breaker, which is not that old. It's only 8 years old, and then 3 12 kV Westinghouse vacuum breakers, which are the original breakers that were installed in the substation. The condition of Ross substation is deteriorating. The transformer in the main SF6 breaker and the magnetic breakers are deteriorating from their age, basically. The 69 kV disconnects, I've been with the electric department since 2017. I've never seen them operated. So I don't know that they will operate if we were to operate them. The 12 kV disconnects, which are like blade disconnects that you got to pull down with a hot stick, they're not in great shape. We've replaced some latch springs on those in the past. They're very difficult to operate, especially for one man. We sometimes have to get two men in there on a stick pulling at the same time, which is difficult. The control room, well, the controls in the controls room are severely outdated. They're from 1980s. I mean, substation went online in 1990, but most of it was built in the 1980s, so it's 1980s technology in there. It's a DC system with 48-volt DC, and it needs to be consistent with the Slatcher substation, which is 125-volt DC. The transformer has some leaks. Load tap changer needs maintenance. Steel structure itself is in good condition. There's some minor rust blooms there. And the transformer containment does not meet today's standards. Here's some pictures of the transformer itself. As you can see on the back there, I can show you in the slides here. If you can't hear me. There's an oil leak down the radiator fins that was leaking for a while that we were very concerned about. We kept a close eye on that. It seems to have healed itself over time, but it's going to leak again. It's just a matter of when. In the top right picture, you can see a little leakage coming out of the top seal there. That leak has also seemed to heal itself, so it's bound to leak again. And the load tap changer's old. I think I have that in another picture, but the fans on the radiator fins are very old. They rarely need to be used because there's not a whole lot of load on this transformer. And then in this picture on the top left, you have the SF6 69 kV breaker. There's an audible tracking on that, one of those insulators, the top high side insulators. It's kind of hard to pinpoint where it's coming from. We can't work on 69 kV, so we'd have to hire a contractor to work on that or completely shut down the substation. In that picture on the right is the compressor that operates the SF6 breaker. We've had to replace the motor on that at least twice that I know of. The compressor itself at least twice, and just most recently the drain valve on the compressor tank due to rust, and we believe that there's some rust inside the tank there that's compromised the integrity of the tank itself. These are some pictures of the RMAG breakers. As you can see, they're starting to show their age. Inside the breakers, there's visible rust on many components, the electrical terminals, and the floor is starting to rust out of some of the breakers themselves. This is the control room. It's definitely an older style control room. You can see the annunciator panel on the right is a bunch of switches and lights, old light bulbs that we have to replace very often with older style meters on the right. And then the bottom left is the old time current, mechanical time current relays, which are we still use them on certain circuits. And then we have replaced some of the relays with newer SEL relays. So some of it has been replaced, but it's a very older style structure. A lot of the SEL electronics we can control by SCADA. Everything's controlled right from our SCADA system in our shop. And some considerations for the Ross sub refurbishment. I'd like to develop a firm plan in the CIP for the replacement or refurbishment of Ross sub. The materials that we need in the Ross sub have very lengthy lead times, up to 2 or 3 years, and that's not including the installation, which would have to be contracted out. We can't perform those within our department. We can perform some of those smaller items, but the engineering cost to engage with an engineer for each one of these items could be very costly if we were to take a piecemeal approach where we would replace a transformer one year and then a breaker the next year and a breaker the next year. I just don't think that's a smart way to approach the refurbishment of the substation. And at the bare minimum, refurbishment of Ross sub could be equal to or in excess of the Slatcher sub, which the Slatcher sub is much more robust. So you compare the two prices there, it could be expensive. The current value of the Ross sub, it's not serving very much load at all compared to the the peak load of the town. It's about 4 megawatts, and the peak load of the city is currently around 23 megawatts. So it's a small fraction of what is serving. It provides a limited backup for the Slatcher sub, which is basically a brand new sub. It went online in 2018. It's new in the world of substations, and everything's state of the art in there. The raw sub does limit our feeder lengths, being on the north side of town. You'd have short feeders as opposed to if everything was fed out of Slatcher sub, the feeders would be a little bit longer. But we have such a small peak load that that's not much concern. It does provide long-term support of the North Seaford growth. I'll say that the build-out has been slow, so we have time to make considerations for what's best for the raw sub. So, like I said, for the bare minimum refurbishment raw sub, with the inflation index cost adders, it could be just as expensive as rebuilding the Slatcher sub, or the original build of the Slatcher sub. So in my mind, I'm struggling to understand the value proposition of the city spending anywhere from $3 to $10 million to refurbish the raw sub, considering there's more than enough load capacity at the Slatcher sub. And there's breaker space available at Slatcher sub. There's currently two spaces available at Slatcher sub, one on each transformer. I'm going to get to the Slatcher sub in a minute and give you some details about that substation. But being as we have the raw sub, I think that we need to do something. I don't think we should get rid of it or anything like that. It's there. We're obligated to maintain it. I think we should keep it at least usable or maybe fully functional. So that leads me to the Slatcher sub, located on Pine Street. Used to be called the Pine Street sub. Like I said, it's basically brand new. It's got a state-of-the-art control house, which you can see in that picture there. It's a lot different looking than the raw sub. The Slatcher sub has two 69 to 12 kV rated transformers feeding 5 circuits, and currently has 2 empty locations, as I mentioned. And it's capable of supporting at least 150% of the peak load of the entire city, and that's with any one piece of equipment out of power. One of those transformers goes down, the other transformer can still carry 150% of the total peak load of the town. The transformers are rated from 22 kV or 22 MVA to 37 MVA. Currently, the entire load of the town is 23 MVA. So my proposal, or proposal from the electric committee, would be for the Slatcher sub, we run one new 12 kV circuit breaker out of Slatcher sub, new circuit to feed 310 and 330. We would use circuit 220, the existing 220, which currently is a spare in the Slatcher sub. We use it as a spare to pick up circuit 320 whenever there's an emergency. But we would use new circuit that could be 260, 240, whatever we want to call it, to pick up 310, 330. And we would completely unload the raw sub. That doesn't mean we would take it out of service. It'd still be energized. And then lightly maintain the raw transformer, install new radiators and new oil containment to keep it up to date. Here's just a picture of the proposed new circuit coming out of. So this is the Slatcher sub. You would come out underground and it'd be a bore shot all the way up Raw Station Road there, all the way up to a new riser pole just past the industrial park riser pole. It's currently fed from circuit 320, and they're going to feed all the way around to feed all the way around to the raw substation and pick up circuits 310, 330. And here's just some pictures of the oil containment. It's very old block style concrete oil containment. It's kind of falling apart. There's many cracks. So I know it's hard to see that bottom left picture. It shows a crack there. There's many of those inside that foundation there. And that bottom right picture with the kind of moss growing on it was an old hole that was cut in the bottom of the containment to seep down into the gravel there. That's causing problems for us. So. With this proposal, we would replace the old concrete block style containment with a new geomembrane liner system with a barrier boom. And the geomembrane liner system offers substations a powerful secondary containment solution for passive oil containment. I have a picture of what that would look like. So they basically put this fabric down all the way around, same size as the oil containment. We would knock out all the blocks, put this fabric down, and then you fill it in with stone. You leave that fabric up on the sides, and you cover that with stone too. So it looks kind of like a mound around your transformer. This is a kind of a new age technology. It's much cheaper than the concrete option. So all in all, for this proposal, I believe this plan buys the city time to thoughtfully form the CIP for the refurbishment, replacement of Raw Substation. You know, we could acquire funding and grants and consider the growth of North Seaford and any future city plans that could affect our electric load. And the Raw Sub would be lightly maintained in standby form and would still receive, we would still do all our regular substation checks, visual inspections, everything that we do now currently, and could still be used in the event of an emergency. So we need to make sure that it's maintained properly. And I think, is there any questions or concerns about this?
Councilman Quillen.
Just one question there. Going back to the Slatcher substation, you were recommending adding another circuit breaker in that.
Yes.
So is there a cost to that, and is in the
Yes.
budget too as well?
Yes, so we already have a cost put in the budget. We've already received a proposal from GMB for the preliminary engineering study, which that would be what we would put in this coming year's budget.
Okay.
And that proposal's $41,000.
Okay.
But Councilman, what we would get out of that, the engineers are going to review this proposal, take it to the next level of engineering, and then provide us an opinion of probable cost for the improvements, the cost of the circuitry that the director showed. So as the director said, once we have that opinion of probable cost for the project, what it takes, then we'll have to acquire funding, bonds, we may have to issue. As the director said, some of this, ordering that breaker may take 2 years. So while we're going to do the recommendation is to do the engineering in the FY27 budget, the work might not be implemented until the 28 or 29
Okay.
budget. Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments from council? Vice Mayor.
You might recall some incidents a couple years ago where there were some shots fired at a substation and caused quite an outage in North Carolina.
Yes.
Significant time lost and power. It was a large amount of upheaval. So my initial concern is that the Slatcher substation is not really hardened. You know, you can see through it. You know, a passerby is less than 75 feet from the transformer. I would hope that there would be some engineering or some thought put into visually obscuring the critical elements. You know, small caliber firearm could penetrate the fins, penetrate the transformer itself. So it concerns me. It wasn't a concern a couple of years ago. As a matter of fact, there was a gentleman in here tonight that came before the council in public comment who mentioned just such a thing, and this was shortly after this happened. So, should the motion be passed, I would hope that there would be some efforts made towards, along with this scope of work, some effort made towards hardening the, the gem that we have, because if we're going to shut down Ross, then that puts all the eggs in that basket.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right.
And we have discussed, the kind of beefing up around the
Whether it's
edges
a
there.
concrete wall or some sort of, it's kind of hard to put sandbags over a ventilated fin, but there's other things that can be done. I'd like to.
And that's a hot topic in the industry
sure
right now.
is.
So there's
So
people
yes,
working on it, and I think there's some options that we can take. I
Along
can't
with
speak to
that, I
price or
think
anything.
that we should do that, because if we lose, suppose we do lose 50 megs of power, and all you have left is Ross while you're waiting.
Well, Ross is also capable of carrying the load of the town. I mean, it's rated the same, but it's deteriorating.
It has
It's something
leaks,
we need
it has other issues that if it gets stressed, has it had a stress test in the past few years? Do we know that it'll take it all? Even though it's been chugging along at a light load, but if you really taxed it, it might not work out so good. So, I would hope that
I agree with you.
during that engineering study, if there's some money available to think about protecting that investment.
Okay.
$10 million, was it 10 million? For Slatcher? How much was it? I can't remember. I was a committee member.
Yeah, it was about 8.3 is my memory when we did that project.
So it's significantly more now, but.
Each transformer was just over $1 million.
And I would say definitely if we're we're to rebuild the Ross substation, that's another factor. I know it's got a more discreet location, but anybody can sneak back there.
It's a little more protected, but this thing is out there.
I appreciate you mentioning that's something to keep our eyes on if we're going to rebuild this.
I have to admit, my mind went to the same place. Was it the eggs in one basket scenario? And if, God forbid, something were to happen to the Slatcher substation, and we had Ross available for, in case of emergencies like that, what is Ross capable of? And I think that the stress test idea is a good concept. Is to, if we're going to play it out all the way. You know what I mean? So if something were to happen, if A, then B type of thing. Because we can't be left without power. We gotta have a backup to the backup plan. Yeah.
My concern at the moment would be the breakers failing before the transformer were to
So,
fail.
and that tied into my other question about more towards Ross. With Ross having older, antiquated technology, right? You mentioned the bulb portion of that. We have to replace that with older bulbs. The equipment out there, how readily available are replacements, given that it's an older technology?
Well, we can install newer technology.
Yeah.
It's going to take quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
My concern was trying to avoid kind of piecemealing it.
Yeah.
And doing one breaker at a time, or otherwise, if you're going to do it, I think you should do it all the way and replace the entire substation, basically, or refurbish the entire substation.
Yeah, I mean, my mind's going to worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
And that's just, I think that's part of the exercise we're doing, right? You better be safe than sorry, so, I appreciate any additional questions or comments from council?
Wouldn't the proposal from the engineering firm include some of this stuff, or do we have to bring it up to them to include it? I'm sure we're not the first municipality that has had these concerns.
You're
Is what
correct.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah, as the director mentioned, there's been discussions, specifically, I know we've done a few discussions at DMEC with all of the utility providers in the state, and it was a hot topic. I'm going to say it was 2 years ago when there were a couple incidents occurred. But there are, the solutions go from mild to wild. So, and no one's landed on any specific thing that should be done. Obviously, you can't impede cooling of the equipment, so you have some practical limitations. Now with drone technology, just doing something at ground level does not completely protect the equipment.
Sure.
So, I think it's a conversation the director has with the engineer during this. I think it's an ideal time, specifically because, the location increases the criticality of this. So I think there are some simple things, right? And I made some notes, it was a great suggestion, visual obscurity. Yep, I mean, it's happening. Just slatting that fence can keep people from, one, knowing it's there, two, targeting it, right? So that probably can take you a long way, and then we can do some other things inside. And look, we protect from, birds, we protect from squirrels. This is just another thing we need to take into account for this critical infrastructure.
Turkeys.
Turkeys, man.
The turkey didn't make it.
Gotta watch out for them.
Yeah, so, I mean, it could be a big thing if, I think one of the other strengths of the proposal that the director has put forth through the electric committee, and the electric committee had a lot of input on this. We mentioned our Slatcher substation. That was financed through a bond that we got on behalf of financing through DMEC with. The first step of that gets paid off in '29. So there's about $1.6 million that gets freed up. And so we can utilize that potentially to pay for the improvements to make the transfer of the load if that's the way we decide to go. And we'll, the strength of this is that we won't have to go back to the ratepayers with as much with this timing. If we can continue down this road and move forward, by the time we pay that bond off its in entirety, then I think load growth is going to look different to us all. And then we take a hard look at Ross Substation at that time to completely refurbish it. I agree, piecemealing it is probably not going to be good. Warranties they expire at different times, different maintenance procedures on different equipment. So this buys us some time, not only to develop the plan, move forward, but better finance a complete renovation like we did with Slatcher Substation, which really has proven to be just a great decision that the city council and staff made at that time.
One more question.
Vice Mayor.
Director, when you say you're going to leave online, will the substation still be exposed to load even though Slatcher will be online, taking that?
No, there won't be.
Are you going to disconnect it and just keep it energized, or is it just, it's going to stay plugged in?
Yeah,
Lack
let's
of a
say
better
plugged
word.
in, the 69 line will still be feeding it, the breaker. But there won't be any load on any of the circuits, any of the circuit breakers. So it'll be totally bypassed.
So they'll be disconnected?
Yeah.
The distribution breakers would be disconnected?
Yeah, the blades
So it
will-
would just
the
be
blades will be
floating?
open.
It'll be hot, but just floating?
Yes.
And that's done, well, I guess, in case of emergency, you could start it up quickly?
Yes. Yeah, we could throw a switch in
You
and
don't
tie
want-
it on
you don't wanna
a
do
new
it cold.
circuit. No. No, yeah, I mean, we would still have the heaters running inside the breakers, everything. No, we wouldn't just, hey, we haven't used this
Yeah.
breaker in 2 years, let's throw it online.
Right.
So,
And all the more reason to consider a stress test.
and we do have a robust switching availability in town. I mean, we can switch just about any circuit onto any other circuit in numerous locations.
Yeah, you've had to do that recently.
Had to do that a lot.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments from council? If there are none at this time, I'll set the motion.
Councilman Bradley, I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Electric Committee and place Ross Substation in standby condition and transfer all existing load to the Slatcher Substation as soon as the necessary improvements are made to accommodate the transfer. Include in the fiscal year 27 budget the necessary engineering to develop plans, specifications, and cost estimates necessary for the load transfer. Ross Substation would be maintained as necessary for future load growth as presented.
We have a motion from Councilman Mike Bradley. Is there a second?
Councilman Henderson, I second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Henderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you, Director Brooke. On to
Thank
new
you for your
business
time.
number 5. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Good evening.
Up for new business number 5 is a first reading to revisions of Chapter 9, Article 1, the municipal code that would update the city plumbing code. Says to the 2021 edition, which is also the state plumbing code. After the last meeting, Councilman Henderson asked that we look into the state plumbing code, and I did some research, and they are using the 2021 code. But there are some other communities in the county that also do their own plumbing inspections, and I kind of picked some of their language out of their code that would allow us to adopt the state of Delaware plumbing code as it is adopted by the state. And that way, every time the state updates the plumbing code, we're automatically in. We don't have to come back and redo this every time they do. So that's letter A in 912 in the code. It will just adopt the current edition of the International Plumbing Code as at the state level. So.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments for Mike Bailey, Vice Mayor Henderson?
I have a comment. I really do want to thank you for looking into this because it keeps a level playing field for all the contractors. They're under a state code, and when they come into town to work, they'll have every expectation that the city will require
Absolutely.
the same thing as what the state does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have any additional questions or comments from council? Okay, since it's the first reading, it requires no motion. I'll move on to new business number 6.
In doing that research on the plumbing code, I already knew the state had adopted a state energy code, and we have always just adopted our own version of it. And so I went ahead and updated in Chapter 4, 417A, to use similar language to the plumbing code, just adopting the state energy code as it's written and adopted by the state. They're currently still using the 2018 IEEC, and they are in negotiations and trying to adopt the 2021. So as soon as that goes to at the state level, we'll automatically be in that as well.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from council regarding new business number 6? All right, and it is a first reading as well, so we can keep moving to new business number 7.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, so council has in their package a couple documents, and this is a non-discrimination policy statement that'll be included on the city website and a public grievance procedure. And just some background on the genesis of why this is being presented. Council is aware, staff had submitted for and received some congressionally directed spending allotments through our federal delegation. 2 for the wastewater treatment plant, 1 for the headworks, and 1 for the expansion, and then 1 for Oyster House Park, going back to 2022. So we've been working through that process. It's taken longer than anticipated for a couple reasons. One, we did have a government shutdown in the middle of this, which was unfortunate, which slowed the process. Through staff working with the EPA, because that's who the CDS got assigned to, was the EPA. We've worked with a couple different representatives there. They've all been very helpful, but they are going through our policies and procedures and make sure that we comply to receive these federal funds. One of the analysts reviewed and through our submission could not find our non-discrimination notice or grievance procedure. So they recommended that we have this prepared and adopted. Ms. Newcomer and I worked with our attorney, Luke Mehta. We were provided examples by the EPA, so we had 2 examples to go from. So we did not make these up. We utilized those as templates. We did have our attorney review them. We submitted them back to the EPA, and what you have in front of you today was updated as of yesterday based on their final comments. There were a few more tweaks, but I just want to read a couple of the things. The first one is the non-discrimination notice. It's basically 1 page, and it's going to state that if adopted, it is the policy of the City of Seaford not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, disability, age, sex, in the administration of programs or activities receiving financial assistance from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. So it's very narrow. It's where this policy applies to where we're receiving these funds. We would have to appoint a non-discrimination coordinator. We have to name them, and our recommendation is that it would be our HR coordinator, Annette Montgomery. She's very adept at dealing with these type of things through her FOIA training, through her experience with the city. So she would be listed, and then it's basically that 1-page statement that would be on our website. To dovetail with that would be a grievance procedure, which is a little bit longer document, and it talks about some of those similar things. But I just want to point out a couple things on page 2. If someone believes they have been discriminated against, there is a process that they would go through. They would submit it to us, and we would do an internal review. The grievance must be submitted to the City of Seaford non-discrimination coordinator within 90 days of the person filing the grievance becomes aware of the alleged discrimination. And then we would then go into an investigation of that, staff would. We would consult with who we need to, contractors, employees. We would obviously work with the person who feels they've been discriminated against, and they would have to fill some things out. It'll be an informal investigation, but it'll be thorough. We'll do it lists there what we will do, how we will do it, and then ultimately the non-discrimination coordinator will have to issue a written decision on the grievance based on the preponderance of the evidence no later than 180 days after its filing. So it gives us a timeline. I just want to point out number 6 there on, I believe it's page 3, the person filing the grievance may appeal the decision with the City of Seaford non-discrimination coordinator by writing to the City of Seaford Mayor and Council within 15 days of receiving the decision from the non-discrimination coordinator, and it has to, and we listed it in here, the appeals may be submitted to the City of Seaford Mayor, Matthew McCoy, 414 High Street. So the analyst wanted someone's name. We typically, with our policies, we try to do a position title so that, because if the city manager changes or the director of electric changes, people can still go to the position. They recommended that they have a person, so we will have to review and update this policy annually to make sure if people do change, we update it. And then I'll just also add that number 7 there on kind of the last page of the grievance procedure, they do have the right, any person has the right to appeal to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Office of Civil Rights and Adjudication, as well as the state of Delaware if they feel they've had a grievance. Also, what we did do was put together a complaint form, and that'll be put on the website. That'll be able to be emailed to persons, mailed to people should they want to do this. We'll try to help them to the extent that we can. But it talks about the complaint information. It tries to give us thorough information if they'll completely fill it out to run our investigation and respond to it factually and appropriately in the time provided. Ms. Newcomer and I did work on this pretty extensively to try to turn this around. We're hopeful if we can do this. There are a few more things we need to get to them, but we're hopeful these last couple items will free up this funding that we've been working pretty diligently to try to get. Ms. Newcomer's here. She and I would try to answer any questions related to the policy that council might have.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments from council relating to new business number 7? Okay. If there are no questions or comments at this time, I'll set the motion.
Councilman Holland, I make a motion to approve the non-discrimination policy statement to be included on the city website and the public grievance procedure as presented.
We have a motion from Councilman Orlando Holland. Is there a second?
Councilman Bradley, I second the motion.
We have a second from Councilman Bradley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. And now we're moving back to old business number 1.
So old business number 1 is the second reading to revisions of Chapter 15 that will add requirements for parking areas of vehicles for being used by people with disabilities. As we spoke about earlier in the public hearing, based on a state code that requires municipalities to require permitting for new parking lots, parking lot repaving, restriping. And we're adding that into our parking section of the zoning code.
Okay, this is the second reading. Do we have any questions or comments from council regarding the second reading? Okay, if there are none at this time, I'll accept the motion.
Councilwoman Grassett, I make a motion to approve the revisions to Chapter 15 of the Municipal Code that would add requirements for parking areas for vehicles being used by people with disabilities as presented.
All right, we have a motion from Councilwoman Stephanie Grassett. Is there a second?
Councilman Quillen, I'll second.
And a second from Councilman Quillen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. And now on to old business number 2.
So for old business number 2, this is a second reading of Chapter 4, where we will strike out the entire Article 1 and putting a new Article 1 that would update our building code to the 2021 international version. This is the same version that the county is currently using. So as Councilman Henderson said earlier with the plumbers, this will give the contractors and builders the same playbook to go off of, whether they're working in the county or they're working in city limits. So there's a little confusion for them.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments regarding old business number 2? If there are none at this time, I'll accept the motion.
Councilwoman Grassett, I make a motion to approve the revisions to Chapter 4, Article 1 of the Municipal Code that would update the City Building Code to the 2021 edition of the International Building Code with amendments as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Stephanie Grassett. Is there a second?
Councilman Henderson, I second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Henderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. All right. Reminder of meetings.
Okay, we have quite a few this meeting. Saturday, March 28th at 10 a.m. to noon. The Parks and Rec annual Easter egg hunt will take place at the Seaford Sports Complex, 490 North Market Street Extended. City Hall and utility divisions will be closed on Friday, April 3rd, 2026 for the Good Friday holiday. We do have a Sussex County Association of Towns dinner that will be hosted by Slaughter Beach on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026. I think we have one council person going to that. Lighted Up Blue Autism Awareness Ceremony will be Thursday, April 2nd at 6:30 across the street in Gateway Park. Just a reminder, Citywide Cleanup Week will be May 11th through May 15th. And then Burley Mears, our Director of Public Works, will be acting City Manager March 30th, 2026 through April 3rd, 2026. And then we have the reminder of the municipal election, Saturday, April 18th, 2026, between the hours of 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. 2 council members' seats will be up. They're 3-year terms, and we do have 3 persons running for those 2 seats, Vice Mayor Dan Henderson, Councilman Mike Bradley, and then Roberto Santos. That is all I have, sir.
Thank you, City Manager. At this time, I'm going to move over to our liaison reports. We're going to begin with Code, Parks and Recreation, and Councilwoman and Dr. Stephanie Grass.
I'm going to start with the Code Department. We have had about 50 rental licenses that were considered late. They have not paid their fees, so we have sent information out to them so that they can take action before we do. We are continuing to do routine inspections for ongoing projects throughout the city. Updates in some of the areas of building in the city. Muirfield Phase 4. GMB re-inspected Phase 3 prior to the dedication. There are a few items that need to be repaired, and Ryan Holmes is planning to return to finish Phase 4. Bel Air, we're still waiting for dedication inspection from the developers so that we can go ahead and pass that on to them. The Western Sussex Business Campus, the Shell Building, had its final inspection, and a certificate of occupancy has been sent. Nylon Capital is continuing to work. The biggest things happening right there are the stormwater. The contractor's doing stormwater along Atlanta Road this week. Mod Wash, if you've been by, the building is up. The exterior facade is looking good. They're working on the interior as well, and they look to be opening in April. In Governor's Grant Phase 4, D.R. Horton has 2 homes under construction. Aldi, as everyone has seen on Facebook, site work has started on the Aldi. Cookout we're still waiting on the architectural plans for submission, and this evening we had an update on the Seaford Inn, which we are all pleased to see the progress there by their new owners. As far as Parks and Recreation, I have a couple things. Parks and Recreation, the Parks Department has cleared the overgrowth at Seroptimus for a better view of Williams Pond. They also hooked up the irrigation at the back pavilion. As you remember, Seroptimus is going to be pressure washing out there, and so we made sure we got the water hooked up for them. They've also been completing field setup for the youth soccer program. They also began removing the signage from the Jay's Nest playground. This is going to be a lengthy process, and if anyone is interested in finding out about your pickets or signs, you need to call the Parks and Recreation office. They are maintaining a list of all of those that are there, and will be able to tell you when you'll be able to get your sign if you wish to get it. Also, they created a new fence design, and concrete pads are getting ready to be put in for the benches at Hooper's Landing, so that should be coming in the next couple weeks. For recreation, we have 287 kids registered for youth soccer. This will be our largest season yet. Tina has completed organizing the uniform kits into teams, and almost all the teams have picked them up. We have 7 teams confirmed for men's slow pitch. We're hoping to get 1 more to make it even 8. The superintendent has met with Nanticoke Fence to talk about fencing in the Jay's Nest. They were able to install it on 313, and signage about pickets has been placed along that fence for those who have not seen the announcements on social media. And she's also worked on logistics and advertising for the Easter egg hunt and the Lighted Up Blue ceremony coming up. And I think we also have a couple pictures. One of the things our Parks Department did is they did a property cleanup on the Seiler property that we just recently purchased off South Conwell Street. There was quite a bit of brush and underbrush and stuff that they needed to clean up. So they've been out there cleaning up, and that part of the property looks much better. And I think, is that one picture? You have 2 pictures, or just the one? Just the one. The final thing that I would like to announce about my area is there will be a survey. I have a hard copy here, but you can see on the slide. There will be a community survey launching this week. It will be launched online, so be keeping your eye out for it. They will also have hard copies available. It is the community's chance to give their input onto what happens to the Jay's Nest. And we know the Jay's Nest has been closed, it's being demolished, but what comes next is going to be up to all of us. And so through this survey, it is your chance to give feedback as to what you would like to see at a new revised Jay's Nest playground. So please be looking for that survey and get that completed. And that is it for my two departments.
Councilwoman, could you remind me the survey itself, would it be on the city's website?
Yes, it'll be launched on the city's website. Also, for anyone attending our Easter egg hunt, we will have QR codes for the survey in all the Easter eggs. So don't throw the paper away when you get the candy. It's got your code for your survey in there as well.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move over to Police and Fire and Vice Mayor Dan Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two complete reports from Chief Reed and Chief Kraft. I'll start with the Fire Department report. Total calls or total responses for 2026 are 1,445 for an average of 17.83 per day. You might recall in previous reports that the calls per day averaged in the high 15s to low 16s per day, so that this is an alarming trend, alarming increase in the number of calls per day for EMS and fire calls. There's several significant incidents. On the 16th, there was a house fire on Wesley Church Road, which was an assist to the Bridgeville Fire Company. On 3/19, there was a motor vehicle crash with entrapment, which we have a picture up on the wall here showing the injury accident, and that was an assist to Blaze. That was on Sussex Highway and Airport Road. We don't know the status of the victim or the patient at this time. On 3/21, there was a house fire on 515 Yorktown Lane. We had one resident was rescued with significant burns. And could you remind me what the chief had said, that the victim was stable?
Yes, severe burns to her face, neck, and airway.
Right.
But they did transport to Burn Center, I believe.
I think she's at the Burn Center. Pardon me. So keep this resident in your prayers, and all the neighbors too. When you have a significant event like that in that neighborhood, it affects everyone else. On 3/22, there was another house fire on 26055 Nelson Circle, which was out of our company. That was also an assist to Blades Fire Company. Under equipment, engine 87-2 remains in reserve. Under training, the last training was March 18th at 1,900 hours, building fire evolutions, and the next training is April 15th, also at 1,900 hours, going over airbags. The next item is the class time and training time, which is a pie chart. You can increase it because some of the slivers are very, very small, but you can expand it if you go and open it up. Pardon me, to see a more detailed view. Under EMS and career services, the applicants have completed the hiring process for the vacant position. The notice of hire will be given this week. Shift deployment has changed at the beginning of this week. The intent was to equally distribute the employees throughout the shifts based on their qualifications. What what is happening here is there have been some changes in the qualifications needed to where you're positioned in the vehicle during responses. And it was noted that previously there were some unqualified people in the front of the vehicle, and that's been due to some shifts or some positions not, or some shifts not having the qualified people. So they've moved the shifts around so that it's assured that there's qualified people on every response in the truck. What this will also do is give incentive to some of the volunteers and the career firefighters who are not yet qualified to become qualified so that they could advance their way up forward in the vehicle and penetrate structures and do other things on that truck. Under news and events, 321, they responded, as was noted in the picture and is significant event. They responded to 515 Yorktown Lane for the house fire. The units arrived to find the living room on fire. The engine crew and 718 found a person trapped in the back bedroom. The victim was removed by the crews within 5 minutes of arriving on the scene, and the patient is currently being treated at Johns Hopkins for burns. The committee for the new fire engine is traveling to Pierce Manufacturing Plant in Florida today and for final inspection of the vehicle. So moving on to Seaford Police Department, Chief Kraft's report, you'll see the usual columns going 5 years back, along with 26 subtotals. There were 168 all crimes, and you'll see the distribution between felony, misdemeanor, violations, civil, and other, for an 82% clearance rate, which fell slightly from the periods before. However, still above average. Under additional crime below, there were 26 total complaints, including assault, burglary, fraud, larceny, motor vehicle theft, stalking, and rape. That was for a 46% clearance rate, which is maybe a little lower than the previous period, but still way above average. You'll see the drug complaints, 3 drug crimes, 2 adult arrests, 1 prosecution decline, and they also were, they encountered 2 overdoses in the police department. That does not include EMS, which I don't have any data on. Under traffic, there were 196 traffic contacts with 114 citations and 17 warnings, 4 DUIs, 1 crash related. 27 crashes in this period, 1 injury accident, 7 non-reportable, and 19 reportable. Hit and runs are increasing. There were 6 on private property, and the others were distributed on public streets, as you can see there. And as mentioned before, there was 1 drug or alcohol-related crash. You'll see the distribution of the crashes and the times of day in the Crime View report. There's a number of significant incidences in the summary report. A lot of these, just let me say that a lot of these incidences are suspected to be by 1 perpetrator, but they don't have the proof, and the CID is working on this. because if you notice, a lot of these incidents occurred in the same geographic area along the Route 13 corridor. Under administration, you'll see the number of meetings. The chief maintains a very busy schedule. He did mention to me in a casual conversation the other night at the PCAB meeting that the meetings are just occupying more and more and more of his time. So he's fortunate that he's got somebody, a good deputy chief to delegate to, because a lot of his time is enveloped in meetings. Fortunately, a lot of these meetings yield grants, grant opportunities, and money that is made available that does not burden our taxpayers and ratepayers. Of note, I had the opportunity to attend the funeral of Ms. Florence Cephas. She was a police chief's accountability and advisory board member since its inception. She was also the department chaplain, or a department chaplain, and she was also a chaplain for the state police. Very moving ceremony, and I don't know if you ever met Florence, but she lit up the room. She was the conscience of the room, every time I was exposed to her, she was very kind and very supportive and very spiritually uplifting. However, it was mentioned at the funeral services that she could be spicy. So, I'm glad that I was never on the receiving end of that. I will also commend the chief for making sort of a eulogy or remarks. There wasn't really the eulogy, but there were personal remarks, and deeply moving and surprisingly brief. Florence had a send-off that was befitting her character. Really, it really was a great send-off. Actually, they called it a homegoing ceremony. So, under community events, they're continuing to revamp the Food On program in partnership with the HELP initiative, and you'll see training, ongoing training. We still have 3 Seaford PD recruits at the academy, and graduation's upcoming in June, and we're hopeful that these 3 will complete their training. Also like to take this time to welcome a new COPT. He's a certified officer who did not need to go to the academy. He comes to us from Baltimore. His name is Dominic Winder, and we hope to be able to have him. He's in training. He has some training to do. We hope to be able to welcome him on the welcome line here very, very soon at an upcoming meeting. You'll see the rest of the training there. There was some forensic DNA training by the CID detective, unnamed, but and you'll see the total criminal arrests across the board for the current year and previous years. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Henderson. I'm going to move over to administration and Councilman Orlando Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. He met with DASA President Alice Atkins about a potential 250th anniversary celebration. They attended a DMEC board meeting along with executive committee meeting, and they attended the Habitat for Humanity home dedication on King Street, and they met with Tri-State regarding next steps for the Jay's Nest reconstruction, and IT met with electrical department regarding fiber work. They attended various other meetings and events, and all the work was routine. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. Going to move over to our electric department and Councilman Mike Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The electric department trimmed trees and more trees. Westview and repaired secondary wires, all from 317. Harrington Street and Water Street. They took down winter banners, replacing with spring, and took down snowflake lights on High Street. Did work at Middle Ford Lift Station, worked at Governor's Grant Phase 4. Nick Moore did monthly substation checks, cleared brush at the AME Church, and discovered the pole needs to be replaced. Saturday, there were 2 blinks in power. I didn't realize it, but March is Rodent Mental Health Month and Piney the Squirrel, so come to the pressure. Respectfully submitted, Mike Bradley.
All right. Please follow that up.
I'd like to thank the director and the city manager for responding to a constituent request for Macedonia AME Church. That was a lightning fast response, and it was needed, and it uncovered some problems that will have to be taken care of, but I would like to express my appreciation for the very quick response.
Hear, hear. Thank you very much. And last but not least, our Public Works and Wastewater Treatment Facility and Councilman Alan Quinlan.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say also I knew Miss Florence Cephas well, too. I coached her son, Ben, and I did see the spicy part of her on the baseball field. Yes. But I'll start off with Public Works. Budget and evaluations have been completed. Several sewer laterals have been cleared throughout the city, and the quarterly sewer maintenance has been completed. Worked with contractors to shut down water main on the Tall Drive to relocate water line around the storm pipe. Painting of pipes in the 534 treatment building is completed. Water service line replacement to 209 Bradford Street is completed. Governor's Grant Phase 4, water has been turned on. All the alleys have been dug. Root cut in the sewer lateral behind Colonial Gardens. Started drilling for a test well at 534 location. Bids received for the CCTV bid, which was granted this evening. Completed work order for a huge pile of trees at 713 Rose Street Lane. Took them about 6 hours to clear that off that road there. So that was a huge tree that they had put out to the curb. Started drilling test well at 534 location, and going back to that, to the trees that are put out to the streets. If a contractor does, just to let the community know, if a contractor does remove the tree, it's the contractor's responsibility to make sure that that area is clean and remove all the brushes and all the lumber away from there. So kudos to our group going in there and cleaning that up. Completed, let's see, new flow meter at Arbutus Station has been cut in and needs to be hooked back up. Moving over to a wastewater treatment facility and the compost. The plant is functioning well, along with the dewatering. Headworks upgrade moving forward. There's some starting digging and things like that. Contract has started for the Headworks project. Blower 1 control circuit is finished and tested and is online. Completing spring ground maintenance around the complex. The BRN pump number 2 VFD has replaced and is back online. Repair parts have been ordered for primary wastewater pump number 1, and new city Seaford decals have been put onto the roll-off containers that were purchased from the county. So now we have all of our emblems on those roll-off containers that are down there to the facility. That completes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Quillen. At this time, I'd like to solicit a motion to adjourn our city council meeting and enter into executive session.
So move.
A motion from Vice Mayor Dan Henderson. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And a second from Councilman Quillen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor,